Hey guys, what's going on? So in this one, we're going to be covering the Yatsufusa guild boss for P5X Global version 2.6. This is week 1 of the guild bosses, and Yatsufusa is back once again. And to no one's surprise, the team we're going to be running here is Vino 1, Wonder 2, Soy 3, Queen 4 with Phoebe as Navigator, and then Wonder will be running the Ex Machina Dagger with Bishamonten, Vishnu, and Komokuten. But if you don't have Haru and you're making this your A side, you can probably bring Dionysus here, and that'll probably change the rotation a little bit. But for the most part, I think you could just follow this as is. And then I will go ahead and put these slot-ins on the screen right now. If you don't have Queen, you have a couple of options. The boss does not resist Curse, Physical, Electric, or Ice, so any of Mesa, Joker, Yui, Fox, etc. could be options. And then Vino is kind of irreplaceable on these teams, to be honest with you, and I imagine everyone has Vino available, but if you don't for whatever reason, Leon, I guess, would be your second best option, but again, Vino is fairly irreplaceable for Queen. And then we are bringing Soy here to satisfy the Guardian Medic requirement on this fight. Both sides of the boss have this Guardian Medic requirement this week. I like Soy because he, in my opinion, is like almost a de facto workaround for the Guardian Medic because Soy is more of a debuffer to me than he is a sustain unit, or at least that's what he feels like. Obviously, he is doing healing and he's drawing aggro to himself, but I prefer Soy here. But obviously, if you don't have Soy available or he's not doing enough healing to keep your team alive, you can, of course, go ahead and bring a Marion or a Lufel or really any healer. Lufel works well here because he can apply burn and stuff. And then in terms of Navigator, I have Futaba here first, but I imagine if you have Haru, you've probably used Futaba on the other side, so I'm going with Phoebe here. But if you don't have Phoebe, you can go ahead and use Wind or Okeon here. Okeon works well on this Yatsufusa fight because she kind of scales on ailment accuracy stuff. Even though she's kind of been worked out of the rotation like entirely at this point, she can work here. But yeah, if you have any questions on anything, leave them down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer whatever I can for you. And then we're bringing Bishamonten. I'll only be using Rakunda, but I think you do have the option to bring Cosmic Flare here too, like Bishamonten's AoE move, to use on turn 2 instead of Rakunda. Because my queen is A1, she typically will finish off the ads pretty quickly. I'll get into it in the fight, kind of what you do if your queen is A0 and you need to do a little bit more damage to take care of the ads. So if you have an A0 queen, I would consider at least just putting Cosmic Flare on here, and then you can kind of see where the battle takes you, but we'll get into it a little bit more during the fight. Then I'm going to be bringing Vishnu. All you'll need is Wind of Nirvana. And then I'm also bringing Komokuten to use Rebellion. Obviously, if you didn't use Dionysus on the Haru side, you could bring Dionysus here instead. Or if you don't have Rebellion on Komokuten, you can bring like a Succubus or something who comes with Rebellion as her main skill. Then as for card sets, my queen is running Awareness and Truth. My Vino is running Departure and Control. And then my Soy is running Departure and Prosperity. If you don't have Prosperity on Soy, I had Control on him, but because it doesn't really do any good for you to double up Control with Soy and Vino, you can go ahead and just like swap a Prosperity set. My Yuki has Prosperity, so I usually just swap their cards. It doesn't even really matter if the cards are any good for this stuff. It's really just more about getting like the card set effect. And then my Phoebe is running Integrity and Labor. But yeah, I think that kind of covers everything. Obviously, like I said, my queen is A1, so your queen will do a little bit less damage probably, but the rotation's the same. I'm going to be following like an A0 rotation, so you shouldn't have to worry about it too much. The only difference might be is a little bit of what you do on like turn 2 with Wonder and Queen in terms of their attacks, but I'll kind of get into that as we get to it in the fight. But like I said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer whatever I can for you. Otherwise, I will see you in the fight. All right, so Yatsufusa attacks first, which is really annoying because it takes forever. And if I had control over this, no boss would ever attack first and the animations wouldn't take this long. But unfortunately, I don't have that kind of power. But Vino can go ahead and use Blunt Edge to start it off. And we just got lucky because we got all 4 ads applied with ailments. So my queen will be able to finish on turn 1. Yours might not be able to. So I will tell you on turn 2 what you can do differently than what I'm going to do on turn 2 to hopefully remedy that. But for now, we can all switch to Komokuten, or if you brought Dionysus, and use Rebellion on Queen. And then Soy, I'm going to empty the clip here to try and get the defense down from the gun. If you don't feel like dealing with the gun randomness, you can just like wait till the second half of the fight to use the gun. I'm going to use it, and I can empty the clip because if I have Messa's Synergy leveled up high enough that I'll get this reloaded. So I would check that, or maybe even just like try and get Messa up to the point. I forget what rank it is, but there's like 2 different ones, and I think both of them would work well enough for this fight if you want to try and empty the clip on that first turn. But either way, we're going to go ahead and use Queen and use Sanction Drift right now. Like I said, I finished them off with a Sanction Drift. If you didn't turn 2, you can do 2 things differently than I'm going to do. But in the meantime, we can go ahead and use Phoebe on Queen. Skill 2. Vino can use Bullseye Bomber, and now Vino's kind of on her normal Skill 3, Skill 1 rotation. And then highlights are up, so I'm going to go ahead and use Queen's highlight. And then Wonder can go ahead and swap to Bishamonten. I'm going to use Rakunda on Yatsufusa. but you can use Cosmic Flare. Like I said, in the pre-fight, if you wanted to bring Cosmic Flare, you can. And if the ads are still alive, just make sure you're main targeting Yatsufusa, so you still get the Tower Purification stacks on him. And then Soy can go ahead and use Smash Hit on Yatsufusa. And then my Phoebe is up again because she has the 5-star. If you don't have the 5-star, I know it can be a little bit weird with Phoebe in these, but just go ahead and use the skill 2 again, or actually you wouldn't even have it available again. So just wait till the next turn, and then you can use the skill 3 whenever it's available and you have the 2 cocktails. But Queen is going to crash out now. And with Queen, if the ads are still alive, you could use Sanction Drift. I'm going to use Thermonuclear Fury, but like I said, Sanction Drift, perfectly fine here. And then Vino can go ahead and use Diving Ray. And then Wonder is going to swap to Vishnu, and I'm going to use Wind of Nirvana. And then Soy can go ahead and use Icy Defense. And then we can go ahead and use Vino's Highlight. Then Queen can go ahead and use Thermonuclear Fury again. Alright, and then Vino can go ahead and use Bullseye Bomber. Wonder can swap back to Komakuten, and we'll use Rebellion on Queen again. Phoebe, back up, so I'm going to use the skill 2. Again, your Phoebe might not be back on rotation yet, just like, you know the drill with Phoebe. Like, use the skill 2 until you have the 2 premium cocktails, then use it on your DPS. That's kind of like the main Phoebe thing, right? But for Soy, like I said, because of Mesa, I'll have my ammo back, so I can go ahead and try and reapply Daunting Firepower. And then Queen can go ahead and use Sanction Drift here. And then Vino, Diving Ray. And then with Wonder, we can go ahead and use Komakuten's Highlight. And then we can swap to Bishamonten, and I will use Rakunda on the boss. And we will reapply those Tower Purification stacks. My Phoebe is back up, so I'll go ahead and use the skill 3 here. Whenever you have this available, do the same on Queen. And then because this is like the 4th time I've done this fight, so you want to hear something funny. Well, it's not really funny to me, I'm losing my mind, but for you it's probably funny. My Vino, in all the testing I did for this, I did like, 6, 7 runs, 8 runs, because we've had this boss before, just to make sure the team works still, or, swap out a few personas here and there. And I was always just using Smash Hit for the next 2 turns. And Vino never. He's going to use the Bless skill that can do like the insta-kill if you're at less than half HP. It not one time did it ever do the insta-kill on Vino. Every single time I've done this fight for the video, it has insta-killed Vino. 4 times I've done it. This is the 4th time I've fully recorded this video up to this point. So I ain't taking that chance again. So I'm using Icy Defense. But ideally, you would just use Smash Hit here. You could use Smash Hit here this turn, and again next turn. I've been beaten down enough that Yatsufusa has forced me into playing it safe. So, but Queen is going to crash out regardless, and we'll use Thermonuclear Fury. And then Vino can go ahead and use Bullseye Bomber. Wonder can swap to Vishnu, and I'm going to use the Wind of Nirvana. Soy can use Smash Hit. Queen can again use her Highlight. And then we can go ahead and use Thermonuclear Fury to finish it off. And 43. So, again, I don't know how good this is, but this is kind of the best I could do. We've had this boss like a bunch of times before, so I based this rotation on, what I had done last time we had this same boss where you kind of have to use Soy here. Having to use Soy on this team always makes it a little bit awkward because, he doesn't quite heal enough to, make sure you're safe, but, he also doesn't not heal enough that, you have to use someone else. So it's this really weird, middle ground where you have to, deal with the frustration of him, not quite healing enough to, keep you alive, but also, take away from the other stuff he's doing. So I don't know. That kind of does it for this one. I think I don't really have a ton else to cover. Hopefully this helped you out a little bit. Like I said, we've had this one before, but yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer whatever I can for you. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys watching. As always, I will see you on the next one, and have a good one.
Been a little while, but I'm still battling, moving fast while you just prattling. No time for me, no tangling. Hit you in the